Okay, welcome. I'm wearing my goofy hat today. I thought I'd do it. Yeah. So let's talk about punching in. And this is something that you're probably going to, well, for the time being, you're going to be doing it for yourself. So just really quick, let's talk about punching in. So punching in is really what you're trying to do is replace a small portion of something that was done wrong. Bass player made a mistake at the end of the third verse, and so you get the bass player to instead of re-recording their entire portion, you just do that part. They just record over the little bits that they might have made a mistake on, right? And so the important thing to know, the important thing is there's a number of things you got to take into account, right? One, when you punch, let's say you punch in that bass player in that one spot, that bass player has to. There's definitely a skill involved. That bass player has to be able to play with the exact same tone, with the same dynamics, at the same volume. Everything's got to be the same except for the mistake, right? Obviously, if it sounds different at that one spot where you punch in, right? It won't work, right? And so, what you're trying to do, let's say, for example, here, right? We're going to replace this thing right here, right? And so we're just going to end up recording over there. So whoever, again, the playing has got to be exactly the same except for the mistake, right? The other thing, you don't want the artist to be aware of where you're going to punch in, right? Because then they get all, then they sort of get, apprehensive, right? They get like red light fever, right? So when you say you're going to punch in, you say, okay, well, first thing, you got to find a place to get in, right? Now, if you look over here, look in Pro Tools, there's no way you're going to punch in at that spot. That's like right in the middle of something, right? If you do that, it'll be a real obvious cut. It doesn't work, right? So what you've got to do is find a place where nothing's happening. This is a good spot where nothing is happening, right? And then you also have to punch out, right? And that's another place where nothing's happening. So you got to punching out's the same thing as punching in, right? And so you've got to find a place to get in, and you also have to find a place to get out. Like I was saying, you don't want to let on where you're going to punch them in. What you're going to say is, please play along with the track. Just play along with the track, and I'll punch you in when I need to, right? And what you're gonna do, of course, is you're gonna start further back. You're gonna start back here somewhere, and you're gonna push play, and then they're going to play along, right? And then when it's time to punch, you don't say anything. You just, quickly and efficiently just hit the 3 button and you go in, right? And so that's how you're gonna do it, right? And the same thing works with punching out, right? So let's see here, what else? I've got some stories to tell you guys during class time. Some mistakes. I'll share some mistakes, right? So the way this works in Pro Tools is you come up here to the options menu and you click, again, I'm looking at a different screen over here, and you hit quick punch, right? There's the options menus where you turn things off and on, right? So I go to quick punch and I hit that, I turn it on, and I get ready to go, right? And the easiest thing, right, if you are recording somebody, the easiest thing is to just hit 3 on the number pad if you have a computer that has a keyboard, right? So I've got a full-size keyboard right here. I'm gonna hit 3 on the number. By the way, Command, if you're on the Mac, Command spacebar also instantly records, or F12. So there's 3 shortcuts you can use: F12, Command and spacebar, or 3 on the number pad. I think Control spacebar is the shortcut for Windows. The same thing, if you have a number pad on your Windows computer, it's the same thing. 3 on the number pad records, Control spacebar records, and F12 also records. Right? Now, what I will say is your computer has to be set up for that. my computer isn't quite set up for Command Spacebar or F12 for that matter, because those are using the Mac is using those for some shortcuts, and I need to turn those off. Right? So make sure you go into your settings on your Windows computer, or you go into your system preferences on your Mac, and get rid of all of that stuff. Turn all that stuff off. Right? That way you get full use of all your shortcuts. Anyway, let me show you. Let me play this here for you. Right? And you'll hear what it says.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. A brilliantly simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in 1953. In fact, the Telecaster was Fender's original Broadcaster Electric under a new title, the company being forced to change it when Gretsch claimed prior rights to the name.
All right. So
The
we're going to fix this thing here because I read it, and I read it wrong. It's actually not 1953. The Telecaster was, or the Broadcaster, I should say, was introduced in 1951, so I've got to fix that, right? So let me go ahead and do that. I'm going to start back here. So starting before, you need, again, you have to give the artist a run-up, right? You can't just say, okay, we're going to punch you in and just go, because you got to get them going, right? So we're going to start back here somewhere, right, with a pre-roll, right? And then what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and arm that, right? So it's armed and ready to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push play, and as soon as it gets to around somewhere in here, I'm going to punch in, and we'll replace that vocal, and then I'm going to punch out, right? So here we go. I'll do my pre-roll from back here. Push play.
Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. Brilliantly simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in 1951. In fact, the Telecaster...
There we go. And there's our new thing. All right? I hope that makes sense, right? So that's the way it works, right? You guys couldn't see me hitting but at this spot right here, I hit the 3 button on the number pad, right? And over here, I hit the 3 button on the number pad again, right? Pre-roll is very important, obviously, for the musician or the artist, whatever they happen to be doing. And then over here, the post roll is also important. Let me explain a couple of things here. Let me undo that. And let's just try this. Well, I'm going to purposely punch out. So, like I said, I got a number of stories to tell you about some mistakes I've made when I was punching in and out. But one of the mistakes I've made is I punched in too late, right? And so on tape, and all these mistakes I made were on tape. So on tape, there's no undo, and on tape, there's no fixing it, right? If you screw it up, you screwed it up, right? So watch this. I'm going to purposely I'm going to punch in late. Oh, yes, I'm going to punch in. No, I'm going to punch in early. I'm going to ruin it by punching in. So if I punch in early, I actually ruin this, right? Let me show you how to fix that, right? I'm going to come back here.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar.
Oops.
A brilliantly simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in 1951.
Oh no, look at that. Oh man, I made a big mistake. Well, it's Pro Tools, it's not a problem. And here's why, right? Oh, now, if I did this on tape, I would be fired. But, right, I'm not going to undo. I'm just going to fix it, right? So I'm going to come over here with my trimmer tool, right? I'm going to grab my trimmer tool. Come back here, pull this back, and then come over here to this guy. Pull it forward, and there we go. And this guy over here, of course, I went over some good stuff. Again, in tape, that would be a very bad mistake. And then I'm going to come over here and do this. And there we go. So now, all I've got to do is fix those spots right there. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to zoom in. That's Command bracket. And I'm going to select that. I'm going to put a crossfade there. And the reason is because there's probably going to be a pop. If you look there, you can see how that I punched in kind of in the middle of something, right? So let me go ahead and make a crossfade, right? So Command F, or if you want to do it the menu A, you come down all the way in here to fades, create a fade. Here's my crossfade right here. I do that. I come over here to this one. I do another crossfade there. And there you go. Ta-da! We're good to go. And that'll do it. All right.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. A brilliantly simple piece.
There we go. Right? Let me make another mistake. There you go. I'm going to make another mistake. I'm going to punch in too late. Right? Again, that would be a big mistake with tape. But here we go.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. A really simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in '93.
Oh no!
In fact,
all right, so I made a couple of mistakes. I punched out too early because I was nervous, and I punched in too late because I was nervous. Now here's the thing: when you hit quick punch in Pro Tools and you push play on the space bar, it actually begins recording. It doesn't look like it's recording, but it's actually recording. Watch this. You'll see it down here.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body.
It's actually recording, right? And here's why that's good. Because I punched in too late. This bit right here needs to go away. I should have recorded over that. But watch this. Ooh, look at that. Yeah, makes sense. So that's, even though you can make a lot of mistakes, and even though you punch in too late, it actually has been recording the whole time, right? And then when I punched out too early, it doesn't matter. There we go. And that's why I said you need to always do a post roll. Always give yourself a post roll so you have a little bit of extra to work. They call them handles, by the way. So you have a handle on the beginning and you have a handle on the end. That way you can massage them and make them perfect, right? Right? Let me show you a different way to do it. Now this is the way you're going to end up doing it when you're by yourself, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight what I want to punch in. Right, so I've got this highlighted, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up my transport window. So the way I get a window to pop up is I hit the window menu, excuse me, transport. There it is over there, here. All right. Let's go this expanded. Okay, cool. There we go. I want to see output meters. I want to see counters. There we go. We got a nice big, all right. So what we need to do is turn on pre-roll. And the way you turn, there's a couple of ways to turn on the pre-roll. Again, this is automatic pre-roll, right? I'm going to come over here and go to options, and I'm going to hit pre and post-roll, and that turns it on. Now you're going to end up doing this a lot, so you might as well learn that shortcut, Command K, all right? And that turns pre-roll on and off. Command, I'm doing it on my keyboard, Command K. Command K. Right now, the pre-roll is 1 second, and the post-roll is a little over 1 second as well, right? I'm going to change that, right? I can do it. I can change it 3 ways. I can type in a number here, and I can say, 4 seconds. Hit right, and then I can say, let's have, again for safety, let's have 3 seconds of post-roll. Right? There we go. Right. And fade in gives me it actually puts a fade where my punch in is and where my punch out is, right? This is something that tape machines automatically do. There's a little, believe it or not, there's a little fade that goes in there. Pro Tools doesn't automatically do it because oftentimes you end up doing your own anyway, so it's not a big deal. All right, but you can click it in there if you don't want to. I don't, because I'm gonna end up doing my own fade. But anyway, so there it is, right? So that's one way of configuring the time for the pre-roll, right? So if you'll notice,
is the longest running solid body. Right? So a little tip here.
if you click on something, right? If you click on something and you push play and it doesn't start where you think it should be starting, like where you clicked, pre-roll's probably on. That drove me crazy. Again, this is one of those things that happened to me when I was starting Pro Tools. Like, why is it not pre-roll, right? Check this out. So I've got this selected here, and do that. And how to adjust your pre-roll time, right? So I can do it here. I can also drag these flags. See this little orange flag there, right, or yellow flag? I can drag it and I can visually see where I want it to stop. Just typing in a number often doesn't work. What you want to do is be able to move it to where it makes sense, right? And then my post-roll flag is there. It doesn't need to be that far. Probably like that's probably good enough, right? The other way to adjust your pre-roll is to hold the Option key down. This would be Alt on Windows, right? I would hold the Option key down and click with my selector tool where I want it to go. If you'll notice, see it moving up there? Right. That's my favorite way of doing it. Right? So I can actually just click where I want it to start, right? And let's put it there. All right, cool. So then all I do now is just hit record, right? If I push 3 on the number pad, it's just going to automatically do this, right? So here we go.
Is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. A brilliantly simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in 1951. In fact,
there we go, right? Now if you'll notice here at the beginning, actually it's okay. It seemed like it was a little strange, but I'm gonna mess around with it anyway. So I can trim this, I can fix that a little bit. There we go. I think that looks better. There we go. And again, I'm going to crossfade that. Right. Command F. Right, there it is. There we go. That looks good. And let's go to the end here, to this guy here. And let's adjust that one as well. How about there? Yeah, that looks good. Comes another crossfade. There we go. Command F. There it is. Let's listen to that. Zoom out. Let's command bracket. Oh, why is it not starting where I clicked? Because pre-roll's on. Command K, turn it off. There we go.
The Fender Telecaster is the longest running solid body electric guitar still in production. A brilliantly simple piece of design which works as well today as it did when introduced in 1951. In fact, the Telecaster was Fender's original Broadcaster Electric under a new title, the company being forced to change it when Gretsch claimed prior rights to the name.
Here we go. That's punching in, right? Punching in and punching out. Funny stories coming up during class. See y'all later.